Stock market update. I'll be on the BBC at 4:30 today, UK time. So let me give you some updates here as well. Oil, Brent is well below $100. The market's now come to the realization that as long as it's below $100, we're resilient. It's background noise. What you've got to remember about the price of oil is it's moved by people listening more to what's coming out of Tehran than what's coming out of Washington. Washington can say we've got a meeting to negotiate peace, but until the Iranians confirm that meeting, we know that isn't happening. Either way, below $100, markets are fine. It's just, as I say, background noise. It's good for the stock market because it means lower inflation pressures, less pressure to put interest rates up, because rising interest rates will be the single most dangerous factor for the stock market generally, as it was in 2022. Let's look at US jobs. Thursday, that's the big day. Friday's a day off because they are celebrating their 250 years of independence from the wonderful British. So what have we got on payrolls? 114,000 new jobs. Unemployment expected to remain around 4.3% in the US. What does any of that mean anyway? Well, it means that the report's probably going to be completely irrelevant. Everyone's going to be on their flights home for Independence Day and the long weekend. So it really isn't going to make much of a difference. Weak number, lots of unemployment, would suggest interest rates will not rise this year. Strong number could push yields higher and push stocks lower. Is it likely to make a difference? Probably not, this one, especially given the data and the rounding errors and all the rest of it. We're not really trusting economic data either. Interest rates, well, wars grab headlines. Interest rates write the check, however. And as I said before, the 2022 bear market wasn't caused by politics. It was caused by interest rate rises, unexpected lurches higher. Hopefully, the Americans and the British have learnt from that. The British movements in interest rates don't even impact its own stock market. What really matters is what happens in America. AI and the stories around that. We're going through that cyclical panic of, oh my God, will all this spending give us a return? Well, what matters with AI is really simple: profitability and sales. And as long as those two exceed expectations, we're okay. At the moment, they continue to do so with periodic bouts of self-doubt in the market. The best thing you can do in a market like this is step to one side, let all the noise fight itself out into silence and exhaustion, ensuring that you're only invested in companies which are profitable and growing revenues. Cash return on capital invested, which is what the fear is, can they generate enough cash on the capital they're investing in, is not really something that the market focuses on, though it should. But what you should focus on is what the market focuses on, not what it should, which is revenue growth and profitability growth. And we've got ample of both in blue chip AI companies. UK labour market, again, we've got a bit of a problem with unemployment and with vacancies. The labour market or employment market is cooling. It's not collapsing. Now, that's actually good for the Bank of England because it means that they don't have to either raise interest rates or lower them. So you get paid a lot of money for doing nothing, essentially, which is also good for the stock market because as long as they don't raise interest rates, we're fine. The problem with interest rates being raised or bond yields actually rising is government has less money because it's going to be paying more in debt if bond yields rise. Companies have to pay more away in loan payments, so they've got less money to invest, and consumers have got less money to waste on pointless things on the high street. None of those things are good. So at the moment, we're in a kind of Goldilocks. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. And that's an official economic term, by the way. UK housing mortgage approvals fell in May. Fewer people either applying for mortgages or fewer people's mortgages getting approved. Either way, it's not a collapse, but it's certainly not overheating. Again, a bit of Goldilocks as well. Higher rates always find the housing market first, essentially, and housing is slowing. The market's watching whether lower inflation eventually allows borrowing costs to come down. There's no panic either way on the housing side. Of course, if you are an estate agent, you might say, I'm not getting my bonus, and you're not. Andy Burnham's speech, He's planning to have a number 10 of the North. Terrible idea because it's going to be in Manchester, when as in actual fact, it would have been a brilliant idea if it had been put in Leeds, the largest financial centre outside of London. The market doesn't have a problem with people or governments borrowing for growth. They have a problem with people borrowing. Because if they say it's for growth or for the tooth fairy, politicians don't have the credibility that the bond market seeks. And therefore, the problem is that if the government says we're borrowing for anything, the bond market sees that as just a waste of money and therefore pushes up bond yields, i.e. the interested asks to lend money to the government. And those interest rates rising means, as I've said, government has to spend more on interest payments, which means less on potentially useful things, which might create jobs, because paying interest to foreign lenders to the British government doesn't create British jobs. So you've got a fundamental problem of credibility meeting lack of growth and money being wasted away. And that's a bigger problem than saying we want to borrow for growth. And that'll be the bigger constraint on the new prime minister. So what do we have? Well, you can talk a lot, try and talk up the country. That's all fine. Markets see all the way through it. And as long as bond yields don't spike, which at the moment they are relatively expensive for the UK compared to, say, lending to the American economy, we're fine. So at the moment, it's almost a case of nothing to see. But he doesn't have as much room as he might think he has. Market straightforward message is this: keep oil contained, keep bond yields stable, and avoid another interest rate shock, i.e. no fast, unexpected movements, either from governments, Iran, or from central bankers. And that's what we're getting. We're not getting any sudden moves. I want to go through and look at some of the financial movements in the markets as well, and what's making headlines. On what we've got at the moment is the global stocks, the biggest quarterly jump since 2030. Well, yeah, that tells you what's actually happening in the world, and it's pretty positive. Over the past week, you saw tech companies, Amazon, Alphabet, Broadcom, Nvidia, some of them drop double digits, Apple, Microsoft, virtually all other sectors in the markets were green, other than asset managers and financial services companies. So what does that tell you? Well, it tells you it's what's called rotation. What'll happen? Well, it'll rotate back because, not least, the retail client is very excited to put more money into anything which falls, also known as buy the dip. If we look at valuations, then what you find is that you've got some very, very, very cheap companies. You're paying $15. When you buy Nvidia, you're paying $15 for every future dollar of profit. When you buy Micron, you're paying $7 for every future dollar of profit. Let me put that into context. If you buy Walmart, you're paying $35 for every future dollar of profit, or Costco, $41. So you tell me, what's cheaper, Nvidia or Walmart? It's obviously Nvidia. So some of these falls have been overdone because people are focusing on prices, not on profitability. They're looking at the numerator, not the denominator. It's a classic mistake. Prices are up, therefore things must be expensive. But actually, it depends how much profitability you're buying with those prices. It's a subtle difference. It's what makes asset managers wealthy, to know the difference and have a degree of financial literacy. Let's not forget the extreme volatility panics people. Western Digital was down 13%, Seagate was down 12%, all in one day. And it's those similar bounces which are then seeing buying the dip the very next day. So as I say, keep calm and carry on. Remember, you are an investor, not a trader. If you're a trader, you're going to get butchered in these markets, and you're going to see a lot of noise, and you're going to be jumping around like one of my guinea pigs from one end to the other looking for treats. You're not going to find them. By the time you get there, it's vanished. Biggest movers, ServiceNow up 10% in a day to the upside. SanDisk also down 10%, just a bit of froth coming off some of these stocks, but really nothing to panic about at the moment. Just keep an eye on rising interest rates. That's the biggie. That's the clue and the canary in the coal mine, as it was in 2018, as it was in 2022. Thank you very much. Have a look at alpeshpatel.com. And as I said, I'll see you on the BBC at 4:30 UK time later today. Thank you.